Too many of you cry.
Good morning and welcome to the Earl Ingram Show. As always, you can join us at 844-967-2789. That's 844-967-2789. You can text us at that same number. Good morning to you, Calvin. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, Earl. How are you?
Hey, man, it's beautiful weather, isn't it, man?
Yeah, the weather is incredible. We got to enjoy it while it lasts.
Yeah, that's it. It's slated, Calvin, for at least the next 7 days, 78 to 80 degrees, man.
Oh, yeah. Feeling good.
Yeah. But, it's Thursday. And so, there's this song that comes out around Christmas, and it goes like this. It's the most wonderful time of the year. Well, it's not quite Christmas, but it's the most wonderful time of the week for me. I get a chance to reconnect with the one and only Dr. Omar, the pharmacist. Good morning to you, my friend. How are you doing?
Good morning to you, Earl, and to the listeners. I'm doing great. New Thursday, and it's busy and it's beautiful.
Yeah, this is a really so the changing of the seasons when we're talking about spring to summer and fall and summer to fall and then fall to winter, which is the busiest time for you?
It's getting to be the busiest time the last 3 months of the year because at that time the changing of the season makes and people are starting to get closer to each other. So we see more viruses, and then a lot of people want to get vaccines for the flu shot, for the COVID shot. So yeah, this time like beginning of the school, and we start to see more busy times than ever. And then January, February gets to also be busy, and then it gets to kind of decrease after that. But I would say that the winter is one of the busiest season in pharmacies in general.
All right. So
All
what
winter.
you got for us today, Dr. Omar?
I just I want to talk about proteins and the importance of taking proteins and the
So what is a
misconception
protein?
about
What is a protein?
protein is very particular, very important need for the body, and we cannot store proteins. So we need to constantly take proteins. I would say like every 8 hours, we need to take an amount of proteins that helps our body to build muscles and to assimilate energy. And it's one of the very strong ways of anti-aging and is keeping our muscle growth because a lot of people when they turn 50, 55, 65, 75, they lose muscle mass, and when they lose muscle mass they cannot get it back.
Well, I have to say to you two things first. Um, so what are the foods that we need to be eating to have proteins, get the right proteins in our bodies?
Very good question, and it's a big debate that can happen around the foods that we can eat to make proteins. And we have to say that the more dense food in proteins are the meat, lean meat, and then we have to go to the plant-based diet that have less proteins into the diet, so they have to eat more of the meals so they can get the enough proteins to support the muscle mass. But let's say that we want to be moderate, so I would say if we eat meat, let's say 2 days a week, and then the rest of the week we can eat lean meat coming from fish and coming from chicken, poultry. Mediterranean diet have this kind of variable sources of proteins because we also have beans, lentils. The challenge with beans and lentils is that they don't have enough proteins into them. Actually, they have more carbs, like 1 to 4, like 1 protein to 3 or 4 carbs. So you have to eat a lot of beans to get enough proteins from a meat source. So I want to tell vegetarians who are listening to us, you have to look into pea protein and those kind of healthy and high quality high quality protein shakes to make sure that you're getting enough proteins in the day. You have to take the B12, but taking B12 every day is not enough for you to build muscle mass, because we see a problem, especially with middle-aged women, is that 50 and 60 years old, they would lose muscle mass. It's not coming back. And I ask them, and they tell me we've been vegetarian all our lives. Unfortunately, they have been vegetarian, but they are not eating enough proteins. And I want to tell you a little hack that I do, and I tell my clients to focus on getting enough proteins through the day, which is eating a healthy breakfast, which contains proteins, can have the meat, can have the greens. Takes some takes some planning to make sure that I get this 30 grams of proteins into the breakfast, because that's going to help cover the rest of the day, so I can have a good nice dinner that has also have like about 40 grams of proteins. And then with lunch I would get another maybe 20 grams. So I want to get like 100 grams of proteins a day, which is kind of, I'm generalizing, but this is kind of a final destination number that I would tell you. If we aim for 100 grams of proteins a day, it would help us to protect the muscle mass for us that we need as we age, and as we, like, gain more years, become more wise, and keep our muscles
So
strong.
if we don't know, so I can't envision 100 grams of protein. That was that, a couple tablespoons. I
Yes,
can't envision what that looks like. Could
good
possibly
question.
look like, yeah, because you are constantly talking about balance.
Yes.
So if you overdo the protein thing, then you run the risk of what, gaining weight.
If you overdo proteins, you overwork your kidneys. And when you
Wow,
overwork your kidneys,
wow.
but that goes beyond that, that goes above 260 grams of proteins when you're not doing exercise, resistant exercise. So for most people, they're not going to have this problem who don't have kidney issues. If let's say that if we are eating like 3, even 4 meals, doing moderate exercise through the day, we're not going to have this problem. The challenge is that the minimum amount of proteins to eat in the day, that's what's recommended. And for most American consumer, we don't eat enough proteins. We just eat a lot of junk food, a lot of calories, but this is not proteins. We need to have enough of the healthy amount of proteins. And by that, we are talking about primarily, we're talking about meat, we're talking about poultry, we're talking about fish. So diversifying is the key.
Dr. Omar, you talked about the fact that once you lose your muscle mass, you can't get it back.
Yes,
I will tell you that before I started taking CoQ10, how do you pronounce that?
CoQ10.
CoQ10. My strength. So muscle mass and strength, are they one and the same, or are they two different things?
Muscle mass and strength. Is this what you asked me for?
Yes.
Yeah, if your muscle is hurting you, you're not going to be able to exercise, and you're not going to be able to build it. You're not going to make it strong enough, you know?
So the reason I asked that is because since I started taking CoQ10 from you, and now maybe, I don't know, a
Few
year
months
maybe,
now.
that
Yeah,
it's been a while.
it's been a
I
while.
can feel I can feel my strength
Yeah,
coming back.
yeah,
I realized I had attributed it to just the aging process. I had never, been been older before. So I used to be a very strong man, but some of the other medications I was taking was breaking down my muscle mass. And so I didn't realize those things. But you clearly are pointing out some really important things that people should listen to in your body. Look at your body, listen to your body, and listen to what you are saying, because I'm honestly telling these listeners that it's made a difference for me.
I'm glad that you mentioned that, Earl. In America, more than 90 million Americans take statins every year. 90 million, 90 million. So statins have a side effect of muscle weakness. Can cause rhabdomyolysis, which is muscle gets to disintegrate. This is one the extreme side effect. When we take CoQ10, we are helping. There is mechanisms in the body that help to kind of prevent or lessen this effect. So if you go to the doctor, they find the lipid profile is bad. One of the main medications that they give you if you have high LDL, low density lipoprotein, which is important to keep it under control, they give you a statin. The statin causes problems. The doctor would give you the statin, but the doctor is not going to tell you that you have to take CoQ10 to prevent the problem of muscle weakness or decrease and lessen the effect. You have felt it when you took the CoQ10. You have more energy into the muscles,
Yes.
and now your muscles are stronger, and now you can, if you want to go to the gym, if you want to walk longer, you can
Yes.
do it, right?
Yes. So we're back to proteins.
Yes, back to
and
proteins.
and what the proteins actually do for your body.
Yeah, metabolic health. So let's say that muscle mass helps regulate metabolism by improving insulin sensitivity and glucose utilization. So stronger muscles make you use the glucose more. Stronger muscle is going to help people who have type 2 diabetes, even type 1 diabetes. Physical independence. It's essential to stay physically active as we age. Mobility, coordination, reducing the risk of falls, injuries. Muscle gets to be the most important thing for anyone who's aging, right?
All
Other
right.
things.
844-967-2789 is the number. You are officially in the pharmacy with Dr. Omar, the pharmacist, on the Earl Ingram Show.
Right on. Right on. Right on.
The following content is not intended as medical advice. Always consult your own physician, pharmacist, or healthcare professional for your own healthcare concerns.
Bringing you a passion for health and wellness. Dr. Omar Uliwa is here to answer your pharmaceutical questions. Now, let's go in the pharmacy with Earl Ingram and Dr. Omar.
Doctor, my eyes have seen the years and the slow parade of fears without crying. Now I want to understand. I have done all that I could to see the evil and the good without hiding. You must help me if you can. Doctor, my eyes, tell me what is wrong, 'cause I am wise to leave them open for
All right, welcome back to In the Pharmacy with Dr. Omar, the pharmacist, on the Earl Ingram Show. Dr. Omar, how can people get in contact with you?
People can call at the pharmacy at 262-429-9429 and leave me a message, or they can go to wiltopiarx.com. Wiltopia, as you say it, wellness and utopia becomes wiltopiarx.com, and send me a message.
And Calvin, how can, if people want to hear and miss something from the shows, how can they reach back?
Yeah, you can go to civicmedia.us/shows and find the Earl Ingram Show. You can also download the Earl Ingram Show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever else you get your podcasts.
Thank you very much. So Dr. Omar, you know, there's so, oh, by the way, anytime you have a question that you want to ask Dr. Omar, it doesn't have to be topic related. At any time we're doing these shows and there's something you want to reach out to Dr. Omar about, feel free to do that. We're not locked into the subjects that we're talking about because, I had some people ask me, well, can we call and talk? Yeah, you can talk to Dr. Omar about any subject during any time that we are doing the show. So Dr. Omar, proteins, and as you talked about, as we age,
Yes.
and slips and falls, and just the aging process is really difficult on us if we don't prepare for it. Is it safe to say that? I mean, if you just allow yourself to age and you're doing nothing to prepare your body and your mind and everything else that goes along with aging, you really put yourself in some tough situations. Is it safe to say that?
It is safe to say that. I want to tell you that I learned about hormones and longevity from women lecturers. So when I travel to attend a world-class lecturer or doctor, scientist about longevity, one of those women is 76 years old. And she starts the day by saying, I'm very sorry for anyone who tries to talk to me in the gym in the morning. I don't talk back to them. I am very focused. I am stressed because I don't like to go to the gym. I don't like strength training, but I have to do it to protect my muscles, to stay fit, to stay focused, and to stay strong because I want to be independent for the rest of my life. So I would say muscle mass is going to help protect you from disease-related, age-related diseases like osteoporosis, heart disease, arthritis. Muscle and strength training is going to help you with your immune function. It's going to help to enhance the recovery. If you get sick, you get fast recovery. That is very important. When it comes to the amount of proteins in what you eat, let's give an example of sirloin steak, 6-ounce sirloin steak. That's about 42 grams of proteins. 42. And the reason that I'm putting a lot of strength into taking proteins in the breakfast, because most of us eat dinner, okay? And if we eat dinner, we usually take between 40 and 60 grams of proteins into the meal. If I add another 30 grams or even 25 grams of proteins in the breakfast, then we are left with another maybe 15, 20 grams for lunch, what we eat in the middle. So that kind of give us the 100 grams of proteins, which is minimum. I'm going to say it again, minimum, to help to protect muscle mass that we need as we age. And the other thing also is that we need more proteins as we grow, as we age, because the body does not store these amino acids, which is how when we say proteins, we have to say that it breaks down in the body by the liver to amino acids. Those amino acids are highly needed and they are not equal. All right, they are not equal. Some of them are more important than others that help with important metabolic pathways that are going to help us with longevity. So even for people who go through intermittent fasting, it is okay, but make sure that you're eating enough proteins through the day.
You know, Dr. Omar, you have supplements for everything. Are there supplements for proteins?
Supplements for proteins are actually to take the amino acids and focusing on the more important ones as a powder, and you put it into a shake or water. So we have a lot of different kinds of pea protein, PEA protein, which is very important for vegetarians to take because most of vegetarians are not taking enough of the daily protein intake. um as I see them coming to the pharmacy asking me questions. And one of the main and most important question is that how can I get enough proteins through the day? So yeah, this gets to be very important. The other thing also I want to tell the vegetarian people is that when you eat a lot of vegetables and salads, that actually changes the biome in the gut, changes the way that the GI and the intestines are extracting nutrients, so they can make use of the, and this is very interesting, they can make use of proteins better than other people. So that's how they can keep their muscle mass if they eat enough proteins in the plant-based diet that they do, but they need to be more careful to get enough to protect their muscle mass.
You know, you talked about um, the fact that these proteins that are so critically important to us, and you keep saying eat lean meat. The way people look at lean meat is flavorless because you go into it to order a steak, you want to make sure there's what they call marbling, meaning the fat. That's where the flavor is. But that's not the way we should be looking at it based on what I'm hearing from you.
Well, I mean, we just need less fat in it, okay? When we eat fat, fat is not the enemy, it just needs to be good fat. But when we say lean meat, we're talking about chicken without the skin, all right? Chicken breast, turkey breast, ground turkey. We're talking about beef, sirloin, tenderloin, round steaks. Pork, from pork, it's the pork tenderloins or pork
Oh, okay.
chops. So there are
Yeah.
like, yeah, no, lean meat is a lot of good options. You just have to stay away from the fried food.
All right. 844-967-2789 is the number. You are officially in the pharmacy with Dr. Omar, the pharmacist, on the Earl Ingram Show. Nope, don't touch that dial.
child. It's gonna take time.
All right, welcome back
Oh,
to the Earl Ingram Show. As always, you can join us at 844-967-2789. You can text us at that same number. It is Thursday, and that means you are officially in the pharmacy with Dr. Omar, the pharmacist, the proprietor of Welltopia Pharmacy in Mequon, Thingsville. Let's go to Mary from Wauwatosa. Good morning to you, Mary. You say what?
And thanks for this invaluable information. I've shared it with many. And also thanks for the okay to bring up another health subject. Mine this morning has to do with the concern of microplastics finding their way into our bodies through the air we breathe and the food and the beverages, affecting our vital organs like kidneys and liver. And the latest I've heard is that microplastics are finding their way into brain tissue. So they're apparently crossing the blood-brain barrier. And so I was wondering, and that's, meant to be protective. Dr. Omar, could you comment on this, please? I'll listen off the air. Thank you.
Mary, thank you as always for great questions.
Thank you, Mary, for providing information into this important topic. Microplastics are typically very small particle size of plastics, less than 5 millimeter in size. 5 millimeter is less than that would be considered as microplastics. They can be ingested through food and water. They can be found in seafood, especially or particularly shellfish. It can be inhaled through the air. They can be airborne. They can be coming from the cosmetics, microbeads. All right. So they can cause inflammation, toxicity, cross blood-brain barrier, which is a problem. And that's why detoxification of the body and the system is very important. Drinking enough water through the day, all right, that is very important. There are pitchers of water that you should sit next to you and you drink water through the day, not just in the morning or in the evening, but just from the time that you wake up, drink enough water. And then once or twice a year, I would recommend a detox program based on supplements that would have silimarine and that would have things that help to activate the liver to help with detoxification, getting rid of toxins. And of course, the master antioxidant glutathione. Make sure that you have this in your GPS of your brain. Glutathione, the master antioxidant of the body that recharges other antioxidants, that we make less from the glutathione after we're 20 years old. Our stores of this important antioxidant that's in every cell of our bodies, we make less of this. So taking it as a supplement also is going to be a good idea for people who are worried about toxicity that can come from something as problematic as microplastics.
Dr. Omar, there are people who have never detoxified their bodies.
Yeah.
What is the inherent danger of living your life and never having detoxified your body?
Inflammation, not being able to lose weight. And this is very important for people who never go through a detox program, who cannot lose weight. Now, if you have a lot of toxins in the body, those toxins are lipophilic. It means they like fats. They need to be diffused in fat cells so they do not kill the body, okay? So for many people who are overweight and obese, when they try to lose weight, they gain weight quickly, because when they lose weight, they lose the fat cells and the toxins get to be more concentrated, and they try to bring back the fat cells so they wouldn't make you very sick. So you're going to have problems with weight loss if you have high toxic burden, more inflammation, more prone to getting things like cancers, autoimmune conditions, and cardiovascular risks. And just inflammation means many sort of disease. So we need to eat healthy, eat more veggies and fruits, take the right supplements. A multivitamin for most men is very important because men tend to not take anything. We see more women coming to the store asking about supplements much more than men, because men tend to feel like, okay, strong silent type. I'm strong. I'm taking care of myself, take care of everybody, and then until it's too late.
So you know me that well, huh?
we're all in the same boat, and that's why I tell men, if you are just one of those people that are us who don't like to take a lot of things, just take a strong multivitamin through the day, something like Active Life that's 10 times better than most multivitamins I see in the department stores. Take a good multivitamin, take good fish oil, omega-3, eat breakfast, check your testosterone levels, and that's kind of ABC of longevity and living healthy.
By the way, I take that multivitamin every day.
That's great.
It makes a difference. My wife and I every day. Let's go to Tom from Richland Center. Good morning to you, Tom. Thank you very much for the call. You say what?
Good morning, Earl and Doctor. I'm the guy who was talking about grass-fed beef the other day.
Oh,
The
yes.
doc just mentioned omega-3. That's what our beef has instead of, is it omega-6, I believe is the other one. When you cook a hamburger from store-bought beef, if you get the 70% lean, they call it, you'll
Right.
get half the pan full of grease. If you get the 90%,
Yes.
you get whatever, half inch. With our beef, you have to butter the pan. There's moisture comes out, but no grease. If you look at our hamburger that we just got back, we got 325 one-pound packages of hamburger from our last animal we had slaughtered in our freezer. So that's crazy. I'd love to cook you some burgers. There's little tiny white dots occasionally in the red meat. It's not half and half or whatever, what you normally see. And you mentioned marbling. Marbling is super important to make it tender, but that when you're feeding on grass, that doesn't happen to like the 25th month, 24th month, whatever. So you can't go 30 months because of mad cow disease. But you can, like 25 months, the animals have, the last couple of months, especially in the summer on really good grass, have fattened up and filled in all those little spots with the omega-3 fat. And taste, you mentioned, the taste is phenomenal. The taste is, people go nuts when they taste the meat. It's really marbled well with omega-3. And I just want to mention potatoes. We grow vegetables too. We grow our own potatoes on heavy dirt up here in the Drussel's area. Most of the potatoes you buy in the store from the sand areas. And the only reason is their machines dig the sand better than they dig the good dirt. But our heavy dirt, we just cut the potatoes, go through a little process, and fry them in canola oil. And I can't eat salt these days, but a little bit of salt on them, nothing else. They are absolutely to die for, and it's because of the potatoes.
Hey, Tom, man, I still got some time on the air. You're making me hungry. Hey, Tom, I asked you to leave your number the other day, and I went off and forgot it. Do it again, and I'm going to reach out to you. I promise you. Calvin, remind me to make sure I get his number before I leave. Thank you very much for the call, Tom, as always. Let's go to Bill from Oconomowoc. Good morning to you, Bill. You say what?
Well, I'm hungry too, so make that 2 hamburgers.
Me too. Make them 3.
I have 2 points I want to talk to Dr. Omar. I ran an outfit, and I took a heart surgeon hunting, and it was in the morning, and he described why we feel good in the morning, and he told me it was because of the oxygen content being the highest. So my second point tied to that point is, I noticed at home, if I use an old-fashioned window fan and pull that outside air into the bedroom, I seem to sleep even better than I normally sleep, which is pretty good. Dr. Omar, what do you think about that?
Thank you very much for the call.
That's oxygenation and the air quality and opening the window. If you like, this is very important, oxygenation of the lungs and the cells of the body. Of course, you would sleep better because of especially if you are in an area with higher air quality. So that gets me to when you see the statistics of the soccer players and football, people who go to high elevation where there is less oxygen, the teams that go to play on the high elevation, many of those teams lose the match because they get to be tired very quickly. So, of course, the higher quality of oxygen that you take, more oxygenation, better oxygenation for the cells, more nitric oxide, and that helps every cell of the body. I want to also talk a little bit about the importance of grass-fed beef, because we hear grass-fed beef, grass-fed beef. So I just want to say that there is science behind it. The grass-fed beef are higher on the omega-3 fatty acids, and more omega-3 is healthier for the heart. Also, the grass-fed beef, they have more antioxidants, vitamin E, and glutathione, and that helps, then supports the liver and helps to decrease and reduce the risk of chronic disease like cancer and heart disease. And they are also don't have added hormones and antibiotics. Grass-fed cattle don't have those and those growth hormones, which make them long-lasting health benefits for the body. So there is science behind it. That's why it's more expensive, but you're investing in your health when you
All right,
have that.
let's go to Jackie from Glendale. Good morning to you, Jackie. Thank you very much for the call. You say what?
Morning, Earl. Morning, Dr.
Good morning.
Omar. I just have
Morning,
a quick
Jackie.
question. What is the most absorbable protein? Because when they tested me, I had none in my blood, none in my plasma. So I just don't. They said don't. I'm not absorbing it. Is there a protein like if you take maybe the drink, like a protein drink, would that be more absorbable?
Great question.
That's a very good question. I want to tell you that if you take branched chain amino acids, you would find it under the name BCAA, BCAA, branched chain amino acids. These would be powders that would contain the amino acids with the concentration that is needed for optimum health for your muscles. Branched chain amino acids that contain leucine, Leucine, 2.5 grams per serving, because leucine is very important, one of the most, if not the most important amino acids in the body that signals something called mTOR, M-T-O-R, and that helps with the protein synthesis. So not all proteins are equal, but if you get enough leucine, and we need this leucine, very important, because activation of muscle synthesis, it gets to be very important. But if we talk about food, one of the some of the most absorbable proteins are in eggs. All right, gold standard for protein absorption. You can eat eggs every day. That's not going to make your cholesterol go bad. Whey protein, casein protein, which is in the milk, this also absorbs slowly and slower than the whey protein, but it has longer effect in the body. Fish, and try to eat healthy fish that are in deep waters. Chicken and turkey, beef. Even in Greek yogurt, there is protein. So there are options. You can call me in the pharmacy and I'll give you some of the options if you need something to hack your day into more concentration of proteins, because there's some very healthy powders that are professional grade that have enough proteins to kick the muscle synthesis in the body, and then you accommodate the rest with the foods that you eat.
You know, Dr. Omar, I was at a good friend's 80th birthday party celebration the other day, and I'm looking at all of these men, either in their 80s or approaching their 80s or beyond it, and they all are healthy. They're still playing 18 rounds of golf, and you don't have to. Your body doesn't have to be broken down. You don't have to be on a cane, and
Yes, I agree.
and you can still have a quality of life as we age. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. That's what I agree on for sure.
All right, 844-967-2789. You're in the pharmacy with Dr. Omar, the pharmacist, on the Earl Ingram Show.
And this time I know it's real. The feelings that I feel, I know if I put my mind to it, I know that I really could do. how I feel. And if I stumble, if I fall, just help me back so I can make you see. Please give me one.
All right, and welcome back to the Earl Ingram Show. As always, you can join us at 844-967-2789. You can text us at that same number. Thursday, that means Thursdays, you are officially in the pharmacy with Dr. Omar, the pharmacist. Dr. Omar, before we get out of here,
Yes.
vaccinations.
Vaccinations.
The American people, unfortunately, many are turning away from vaccinations. And illnesses and diseases that had been eradicated in the past are working their way back. What do you want to say to the listening audience about vaccinations and why you should not listen to somebody who's not a doctor or a scientist about these vaccinations?
As a pharmacist, I want to say that vaccines are some of the most studied science in the medical field, most researched, and it's meant for public health protection. So they are effective tools to prevent infectious disease, reduce transmission, severity of the illness, and there is science behind it. And yes, some vaccines have failed over the years, but they are very important for especially the people from us, like the population that have chronic disease, and we need to make sure that they are protected. Like, I'm okay with people having different views, but make sure that if you have certain view, make sure that there's science behind it. We're worried because it's kind of, this is a vaccination season, and we see much less people getting the COVID vaccines, but we see a lot of people are getting sick with COVID now, including my friends in the field. So if we take less vaccines and we're kind of getting to the season where there's transmission of disease, that's a challenge. We want to decrease hospitalization, mortality. We are seeing now chickenpox coming back because of vaccination. People are not giving vaccines to their children. So there are core vaccines that kind of we can agree on, and some vaccines we can debate on. But I want to tell you earlier that we have a friend that just got shingles, and my friend stayed out for a whole month because of the symptoms of shingles. How severe it became, and it's just like the Shingrix vaccine is protecting from shingles up to 97%. So when people don't get this vaccine and it's approved 50 years plus, it's kind of a problem. It's something that you have to check off your list of things to worry about. People are not getting the flu shot, and I understand that some people are worried about getting the flu shot because they tell you, when I get the flu shot, I end up with a flu after a few months because it was not the year that was intended to give the most protection. But I want to give you example that my wife gets sick every year with the flu, and if she doesn't get the flu shot, she gets sicker and sicker. So the question is, all right, I have my own views, but how about my parents? How about my children? We have to make sure that we protect the community, and we have this kind of collective conscious of understanding and caring for each other.
You and I have both had shingles. And I mean to tell you, you know, if you haven't had the shingles vaccination and you attract or contract shingles, you wish you had have gotten it. You would wish that you had gotten the vaccination.
Yeah, I still have it on my arm. I have those kind of pimples that left mark on my arm from shingles. It was one of the worst pains on my life. If I didn't have this formula that helped me to kind of heal it fast, topical formula, I would be taking a couple of weeks off from work, and I wouldn't go to one of the most important trainings in my life. So I am very thankful to treatments for shingles, but I ask myself, what if I didn't even need to have it at that time? But I was not in the age to get the Shingrix vaccine. The Shingrix vaccine was not out at that time. The vaccine that was out there would give like 50, 60% protection at that time. But this is something that we need to check off our list for anyone above 50 years old. Many insurances cover it. Medicare covers it. So we have to be careful. We have to be understanding
Well,
that these vaccines are important.
well, you know, Dr. Omar, not to mention the pain
The pain.
associated with it. And
Yeah,
it's a prime example of something that you really don't have to have. You don't really have to contract
the pain.
shingles as we've aged because there's something there that can prevent it now. And
Yes,
and back when I contracted it, it wasn't included in Medicare, and the cost of the vaccine was about $300 or $400. So it
yes.
was prohibitive then. That's not
Mm.
the case now.
It's not the case now. Most pharmacies are offering it, and it's 2 series. You take one today, you take another one 2 to 6 months. So one today, one in 2 months, and you're done. Once and done. You're not gonna take it every year. It's
Yeah,
just
and I don't remember my toes or fingers falling off,
no,
or
they don't. They're not. Just
you
pain,
know.
side pain, local side pain can be stomach upset for 1 or 2 days. But I haven't seen over the course of the last few years, for like 7, 8 years I've been giving it. I haven't seen something beyond that.
So are many people coming in to get those vaccinations?
Yes, we had more people coming to get it first when it was released. I still see people that didn't get the Shingrix vaccine that we recommended to me and my friends in department stores. I have a friend of mine in the department store, a pharmacy, that he's like a champion in the state for the number of vaccines he's giving. Every person that he asks, "Did you get the Shingrix vaccine?" They tell him no, so he convinces them to take it. So it's like,
All right, Dr. Omar, it's great as always.
Thank you.
We'll see you soon.
Thank you. See you
Kiss
soon.
the
Thank you,
babies
Eric.
and the wife, and we'll see you in a week.
Thank you, brother.
All
Thank you.
right, the one and only Dr. Omar, the pharmacist. On the other side, got a lot to talk about, so hang on.
Thank you. Take care.
Someone knocking at the door, somebody ringing the bell. Someone's knocking at the door, somebody's ringing the bell. Do me a favor, open the door, let 'em in. Ooh, yeah. Someone's knocking at the door, somebody's ringing the bell. Someone's knocking at the door, somebody's ringing the bell. Do me a favor, open the door, let 'em in. Yeah, let 'em in.
I wish I could play that all the way through. Welcome back to the Earl Ingram Show. As always, you can join us at 844-967-2789. Text us at that same number. You know, Calvin, kids arrested, schools closed amid wave of threats after Georgia shooting. There have been countless numbers, Calvin, of threats made by young people after the horrific killing in Georgia. And I don't know when our nation is going to address it, Calvin. I just, what are we doing? Waiting for the next one?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's certainly scary and sad. We've seen now body cam footage and I think police house footage of the shooter in Georgia, and there were clearly signs before he did what he did that there was something wrong and nothing was done. So,
As bad as that was, listen to this. The same day a teenager opened fire at rural Georgia high school and killed 2 teachers and 2 classmates, a 15-year-old in a neighboring county was taken into custody after fellow students heard him making threats on the school bus about finishing the job. 2 days later, a 13-year-old girl was arrested after threatening to carry out a shooting at her Florida middle school. On an Instagram post she later claimed was a joke. On Tuesday, a 12-year-old in Texas was charged with making a terroristic threat, causing public fear after threatening to shoot up the school and showing photos of firearms during a FaceTime call with another student. And on and on and on, Calvin, and on. And when are we going to come to Donald Trump has a commercial out. And I'm watching this commercial, and it says, if you vote for Kamala, she's going to take your guns. I don't know if you've seen that yet, Calvin, but she's going to take your guns. And so to sending a message to people that, your guns are in jeopardy of somebody taking them. Nobody's looking to take your guns. When did anybody ever say they're looking to take your guns? It hasn't been said, Calvin.
yeah, I mean, Kamala Harris even said in the debate on Tuesday that
she's a gun owner.
That her and Tim Walz both own guns. I don't know. It's certainly something that no other country deals with. So it seems like it should be obvious what the solution is, but we've been dragging our feet on it for 30 years.
Hey, man, the answer again is not more cops with guns in the schools. For heaven's sakes. This 12-year-old, so they've got guns in the house. She's taking photos of the guns and she's on the internet and she's saying, look at these guns I have here, and I'm going to do something with them. And so what's the answer to that? Our phone lines are open as always at 844-967-2789. How do you rein in these very young people who are so acclimated to guns. And listen, there are rural people and even people who live in cities who hunt. I got friends who hunt. And I got friends who own weapons. But man, their children and grandchildren don't have access to any of that. They're not taking photos of the weapons. If you have a child or a grandchild that you know is taking photos of weapons at these young ages, Calvin, you need to take heed, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, we always say we always hear that, well, the parents need to be held accountable. And I agree, the parents should be held accountable. If your child is making threats or posting pictures of guns on social media, you as a parent should have your guns taken away.
Hey, that's a tough thing you just said, man.
Well, I know, and that's why not everyone should have their guns taken away. People who have demonstrated they're irresponsible with them should have them taken away.
There's no question that in lieu of the way things are today, and the fact that when you know, as you know, these young people who have access to those weapons and who then go ahead, Calvin, and list stuff on the internet. That's the sign right there, right?
Yeah, I mean, if it's gotten to the point where your child is making threats on the internet, you have made huge mistakes and need to reevaluate what you've done.
Yeah, there's no question whatsoever. And for those of you who are gun owners, and I get it, and Second Amendment people, that don't take this personally. But as long as there are people like Donald Trump and others out there sending messages that you can't vote for her because she's going to take your guns, nobody's looking to take your guns. Man, where have you heard anybody say they're looking to disarm the American people? It hasn't been said, except for Donald Trump and some others who will mislead you to believing that our nation is somehow looking to disarm you. Let me be clear. Some of you need to be disarmed because of the things you've said and done. And your Second Amendment rights need to be suspended. You know why? Because your Second Amendment rights shouldn't endanger the rest of us. Hey, that's just common sense. Your right to own a gun should not endanger those of us who, have done nothing to you. Hey, Sharky from Racine, man, it's good to hear from you. It's good to know you're still around.
Thank you. Top of the morning, and a very important title this morning. We don't hear enough about what H.R. 218 was when Bush, I believe it was Bush Jr., proposed that. And it is law, where officers of law and military in good standings were allowed to have their weapons, and obviously in good standing. And I'm not hearing enough about that because, the officers, if they had 20, 30 years, they could be useful. People in the military with common sense were going to be useful. But I'd like to hear more about that. And I haven't heard it. So it's HR 218. And you think the callers would want to pick it up and it's not the total answer, but it's part of the answer, and that was the purpose. And so I wonder what they say out there.
So, Sharky, for people who don't know, you're a retired law enforcement officer, and so you got a moment. Let me bounce something off of you. What are your thoughts about people who say, I mean, really, your real thoughts about concealed carry from the perspective of a law enforcement person.
I feel that is very cautious to talk about. When I qualified for the HR 218, and I was just constantly, if I was, basically what it's saying, it's not open carry. It is actually carry, in your pocket, under your holster, under your jacket. But with the ability of non-military, non-officers who are retired in good standing, it's a threat. When this happened in Wisconsin, I felt under threat, and I was more and more cautious and more concerned how I walk through the community, how I think through situations, and it's just too wild in my world, and it's too, thank God that we have good officers in good standing that have retired, military good officers. We have to rely upon them on many different areas, but the Wisconsin, and I can only speak for Wisconsin because I don't travel too far anymore, but I just think it's scary for the people. And of course, then you talk to the assault weapons. The assault weapons, there's a whole different category.
So Sharky, hang on. Can you hang on a second?
Sure.
All right. 844-967-2789. Sharky, man, it's good to hear from you again, a retired law enforcement officer who has the right perspective on this. We're going to talk a little bit more about concealed carry and all of those different things from the perspective of a retired law enforcement official. 844-967-2789 is the number. You're listening to the Earl Ingram Show.
Yeah. Someone's knocking at the door. Somebody ringing the bell. Someone knocking at the door. Somebody ringing the bell. Do me a favor. Gonna make a change for once in my life. It's gonna feel real good. Gonna make a difference. Gonna make it right. As I turn up the collar on my favorite winter coat, this wind is blowing my mind. I see the kids in the street with not enough to eat. Who am I to be blind, pretending not to see their need? A son's disregard, a broken bottle top, and a one-man soul. They follow each other on the window, 'cause they got nowhere to go. That's the one I want you to know. I'm starting with the man in the mirror. I'm asking him to change his ways, and no message gonna
All right, welcome back to the Earl Ingram Show. As always, you can join us at 844-967-2789. You can text us at that same number. I've got my good friend Sharky from Racine on the line. He is a retired law enforcement officer. So Sharky, you know, you're talking about these AR-15s and the fact that, so many people have them. And it, it was tough enough, Sharky, you correct me if I'm wrong, before the AR-15 was out as much as it is for law enforcement, when people, had handguns or rifles or those types of things. But what is the inherent danger, even more so when so many people have access to AR-15s?
Well, you're putting out there a tremendous amount of firepower, long distance carrying of the weapons, the bullet, I should say. Some of these guns are going out to 3,000 feet or more. Multiple shots, multiple capacities. Hunters, in Wisconsin and a lot of states will say, okay, you'll have this weapon here. It's a hunting weapon for pheasants, and you have maximum of 5 shots. And that's one thing. So, I mean, the firepower of the ARs and like ARs, the penetration, obviously carrying, they can pull it out of their trunk and right there, they've got 20, 30 rounds available to them. Now, as an officer, there's a situation there too, is that we have to reflect back on the issue of transportation for officers in the state of Wisconsin, and the 218 law for military and police are allowed to carry their weapons throughout the United States. And but it's their weapon. It's generally going to be the handgun. They don't talk about the AR for the former officers or former military. And there should be some look at that too. So the NRA, if you can say that word right.
Yes.
I'm very upset with them. They need to do their job, due diligence. They need to bring it back in. Bring the children, teach them respect, again, in the handling of weapons. Not handguns. I would say handguns is very difficult because it's so easy to harm yourself. It's a very dangerous weapon in your hand. But for me, it was, just to think about it, when I was allowed to carry in 50 states, I got to travel with my son in baseball for 4 years. And it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing, but I didn't have to worry about that. But that's the HR law.
So, Sharky, the last thing I would ask you is AR-15s. This father bought one for his 14-year-old son. I'm sure there are other fathers who bought AR-15s for their sons. What would you say to fathers who are buying these guns for their teenage sons, AR-15s?
I would rather give them my car, I think.
Yeah.
A car is just as dangerous. Okay, put them in the car. But here's the point. As a child starts getting older, father, son, mother, son, you like to shoot it in a capacity of respect, what these things can do, what they have done, and how dangerous to themselves, how dangerous to others. And, I really think we need to really get after this and making sure that we can protect our children. The parents should really be, again, held accountable. And I'm seeing that across the board, a lot across the board. And so we could use our officers in the schools, the military in the schools. But again, you have to be vetted. I have to run the same course as a former officer to carry my gun once a year, and I have to do the same shots that the officers do on the range. I just got done qualifying here in Racine.
So let me ask you this: you are a qualified marks person, and so marksman, and so you had to prove that in order to carry your weapon. The average person does not. How does that make any sense?
It certainly doesn't. And again, NRA, get your job going. And again, the weapons, I sit here every day thinking about the Kenosha situation. For the life of me, that one hurt to watch that happen with Rittenhouse.
Right.
That one really, really hurt. And we have to do better. And I'm with the right people. I'm out here trying to work with getting our situation, our world here, our country, our states. I'm working with the right people. We have good, honest people out there. They have to come to religion here. No, I'm just kidding with the term of the religion, but they need to. Officers like myself should get out there in seminars, and the military, responsible military, should be talking this too, because the guns are way out of control.
Hey, Sharky, thank you very much for the call. Let's go to Julie from Jackson. Good morning to you, Julie. You say what?
Hi, good morning. Thank you, Sharky, for your being a policeman and, protecting all of us. And I'm sure it's not easy when there's people walking around with guns. I agree with Calvin. It's got to start at home. These parents are going to be held accountable. And it was obvious that the kid down in Georgia had issues. The dad knew he had issues. Why would you buy a kid that has issues a gun? Why didn't you take him to therapy? Why didn't you do something? So the other thing is, Earl, when we were kids, okay, so the Columbine was kind of the first school shooting in the 90s. Before that, we never had school shootings, but people had guns. So what's the difference? Is it the social media that the kids have now that it's just too hard for them to deal with when they're being bullied and it's all on social media and constant? I don't know.
Hey, Julie, I wish I had more time. Thank you very much for the call. Guys, hang on the phone lines, 844-967-2789. You're tuned into the Earl Ingram Show.
Stand up, stand up, stand up, stand up and live yourself now. You know it, you know it, you know it, you know it. Hasta la vista, baby, 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 gave you love, you did me wrong, didn't know what to do. But baby, I'm strong, gonna get over you. A new boy I'm gonna choose. You'll see. My love was true, still you threw it all away. Now other guys will have me, they'll appreciate my love. Tell me, how does it feel? You know that I needed you. You know that you meant.
Hey, Calvin, why don't you remind me I got a radio show to do? All right, welcome back to the Earl Ingram Show. As always, you can join us at 844-967-2789. Text us at that same number. I bet you guys don't know that I never listen to music when I'm not in the studio. The only time I ever listen to music is when I'm here every morning. But anyway, welcome back to the Earl Ingram Show, and that's why I enjoy it so much. As always, you can join us at 844-967-2789. Text us at that same number. Yeah, we're talking about the scourge of, weapons and guns and children making threats. And we got to do better. Let's go to Mike from Kenosha. Good morning to you, my friend. How you doing?
Loving life, man. Thank you for taking my call as always. I was fascinated by your conversation with a retired law enforcement official from Racine. It reminds me of, when the liberalization of all these weapons of war became in vogue. Years ago, we organized a meeting with police officers, and I talked to a couple of police chiefs independently. Every one of the police officials that I talked to were very uncomfortable and very nervous with this public access to such horrible weapons. They feel that every time, they're walking down, that dark alley and they're looking into a crime or something, that they're going to be outgunned. So all of a sudden, it becomes an escalation in its own way. And every single police officer, every single police chief that I've talked to, and I'm guessing there's well over 100 total, none of them like it. None of them support easy access to weapons of war to untrained, unqualified individuals. None of them. So when you're walking up, picture yourself a police officer walking up to maybe a crowd, maybe it's a confrontation or something. Do you think maybe you're going to be a little bit quick to pull that revolver out of your holster and start shooting because of your fear of, you have to be first? You can't be second to respond. So, this easy access to weapons of war is such, it's anti-American, I believe. I think it's horrible to put our police officers in a position to where they are in fear of being outdone. It doesn't make any sense.
Mike, it's not just the law enforcement, it's the average everyday citizen. Where you can't, some crazed person has access to a weapon in schools. So, it's really, I'm kind of happy that we're having this discussion, because next week I'm going to be joined in studio by the chief of police for the city of Milwaukee, Jeffrey Norman. He's going to be here in the studio with me, and we're going to have a conversation from the perspective of a chief of police of one of the largest cities in the state. And so, yeah, it is true, Mike. Is it that the individual's Second Amendment rights is more important than the safety of the rest of us, Mike?
That's a no-brainer, of course.
No, but
But again, this is what happens when you have one group, one party that is hell-bent at whatever superiority, totalitarianism, if you will. They want this divide and conquer. They embrace conflict, and so yeah, I'm very much looking forward to your conversation with the police chief, and please ask him that same question.
well, I'll certainly
he's feeling.
I'll certainly give you a chance because he's going to take calls. Hey, Mike, thank you very much for the call. Let's go to Brendan. Good morning to you, Brendan from Jersey.
Good morning, Earl. Let's start with the bastardization of the Second Amendment and what it was really intended for and now what it's become. Laws like stand your ground laws, like in Florida, where you can just shoot somebody because you're standing on a piece of ground and you feel intimidated or threatened. The amount of ammunition they'll allow people to buy. Look at the guy down in Kentucky who shot all those people on the roadway. Now, luckily, I think they all made it through, but I don't think they found this guy yet. He had ex-military. He was able to buy 1,000 rounds with an AR-15. That is ridiculous, okay? Qualified immunity for officers. You know, the gentleman on the phone earlier talked about people being qualified. We've got officers running around out there that just have not received enough training and shoot and ask questions later. And it's not all cops, because there's a lot of good cops out there. And sometimes cops, just out of fear, like the other caller had said, are trying to protect themselves so they can go home at the end of the day. But there are so many guns out there, it's ridiculous. Loopholes in gun show laws.
Yes.
No cooling off period before you buy a weapon. Gun manufacturers being totally immune from any lawsuits. Okay, that's just a few of the things that we need to clean up in this mess. But the fact that when I was in the military, I was a 12 Bravo, and at the end of the day, if you were in an exercise with your M16, you had to sign it back in, turn it into a locked up gun shack to the guy that ran it. But now we got people that just have them sitting on their living room table like it's nothing.
Hey, Brendan, isn't that insane? A trained military guy has to turn his weapon in, not being trusted by the military. You know, they're not going to take any chances. But in our society, they're everywhere, man. You know, they're like your bowling balls, right? People have them everywhere. And nobody really, does their due diligence to make sure that that's taken care of. Brendan, thank you very much for the call. Great stuff, man. Let's go to Tom from L.A. Good morning to you, Tom. You say what?
Good morning, Earl. First off, we the people ultimately are the government. Everyone get out and register to vote and get ready to vote for Kamala Harris and Tim Walz and everyone up and down the ticket. Why can't we make gun safety, because that's what I took when I was I think 11 years old or something like that. I took in Wisconsin, I took hunter safety. So again, we need to continue to call this gun safety because that's what it is. But second, why can't we treat it like we treated cars? Years ago, cars were killing people on the roads. So and they were used as a weapon almost. And what happened was then we got, where you have to have a driver's license, you have to have liability insurance, you have to have collision insurance, you have to have, your car registered, all those different things. They could do the exact same thing with guns, and the whole world would be so much safer, and everyone would know exactly, where that gun's coming from, and it just seems to me like it's common sense.
But Tom, there wasn't a counterpart. Tom, there wasn't a counterpart to the NRA for automobiles. We know exactly why we're facing what we're facing and why the blood and the carnage won't stop. And it's something called the NRA. All right, Tom. Go ahead, Tom. Go ahead.
Oh, I just said money in politics.
Yes.
Let's get money out of politics. We have to actually, Nancy Pelosi put together HR 1, which was the whole idea of getting money out of politics when, a few years back. So we just need to make sure that, we get money out of politics, but we need to put this like it is. And I would think the insurance lobby would be really happy to have new, liability insurance that's coming in that would help their business.
Hey, Tom, thank you very much for the call. Let's go to Lynn. Hey, good morning, Lynn from Oconomowoc. Good morning to you, Lynn. You say what?
My husband was a retired Milwaukee police officer after Chief Breyer retired, I believe the mandatory off-duty carry was lifted. Off-duty, and after he retired from working for the police department, he worked for the county DA's office. And my husband would not carry his gun while he was delivering subpoenas, nor would he carry his gun off duty. He said you would be expected to intervene if you, in a precarious situation, if you had your gun on you, you would feel more
apt to get involved.
Exactly. And if there was an intervention, he said, you could be personally sued. So he avoided and tried to diffuse situations.
But your husband was a police officer, a trained person. We're talking about average citizens who have access to these guns who don't have any of that. Lynn, they're not trained. They just can buy them.
Right. And after we started caring for our grandson, he got rid of all of the guns and all the ammunition because kids will take a hammer and pop a bullet.
Thank you very much for that information. Let's go to Susan from Kenosha. Good morning to you, Susan. You say what?
Oh, good morning to you. I personally don't really understand this, and you know that I worked as a civilian worker for the Milwaukee Police Department years ago, but I had a requirement that after Sandy Hook, I had to take a seminar with the people who work Sandy Hook. I just want people to understand that if you support the blue, if you support the police officers, you would want to keep these weapons off the street. But just, you know how I am with data. 26 people died at Sandy Hook that day. And 20 of them were children, and they were ages from 5 to 8 years old. There were 154 rounds that were fired from that AR-15, and in 4 minutes. That meant for every minute, 38 bullets passed through that weapon. And that weapon is a military grade weapon. And it's not like you're shooting a bullet from a rifle. That weaponry is marked or produced so that it tears to the flesh and tears to the bones. So you can imagine what was left of these children. So people, think about what you're putting on the street.
Hey, Susan, thank you very much for the call. And so Wednesday, the 25th of September at 8 a.m., Chief Jeffrey Norman of the City of Milwaukee, Police Chief of the City of Milwaukee, will be joining me in the studio. Hang on, guys, on the phone lines. I'm coming to you. You're tuned into the Earl Ingram Show.
I'm looking for a new love, baby. Other guys will have me, they'll appreciate my love. I'm looking for a new love, baby. Tell me, how does it feel? I'm looking for a new love, baby.
All right, welcome back to the Earl Ingram Show. As always, you can join us at 844-967-2789, 844-967-2789. Text us at that same number. So, the fact of the matter is, I read, out of the article that precluded us having this conversation about children 12, 13, 15 years old who have made threats to finish the job. And so these children are comfortable enough around firearms that they know where they are, taking photos with those firearms. They're 12 through 15 years old. What are we doing? Well, you see the commercials that are out. Donald Trump's one of his latest commercials, Kamala Harris wants to take away your guns. And it's an alarming commercial. She wants to disarm you. Well, come on, man. Come on with that, man. That's not what that is. And in some instances, people need to be disarmed. I can tell you, one of my best friends, he makes AR-15s. He loves it. He's a responsible guy. He's a gun trainer, licensed. He trains people. He educates them. He's responsible. Everybody who has these weapons aren't responsible. So if you're not responsible, you shouldn't have one. I'm sorry. Constitutional right notwithstanding. If you aren't going to be responsible and those around you, let me be clear. It's you. You purchased it. You are the person who should be responsible for it, not your children. Calvin, am I right or wrong with that?
Yeah, I mean, that's completely right. You have to be 18 to purchase a firearm. So if a child has a firearm, it's the parent's responsibility.
Yeah, and if the child gets a hold to your firearm, that's on you. And if you become so lax with your firearms that your children can get access to them, you make it difficult for all the rest of us. I don't own a gun. Okay? I don't. I'm going to die without ever owning a gun. But then I shouldn't be so fearful that somebody else carrying a gun who has access to it, is going to take my life. I choose not to participate, like almost 50% of the other Americans. Hey, Karina, how you doing?
Earl. So, yeah, I heard that too. And I heard it from my neighbors, and it was a group of men standing and talking about it. But the scary part, one of the scariest part, that they taking it literally. They saying Trump told us that this is what they first thing that the Kamala Harris is going to do. They should take the guns away. I'm like, what are you talking about? This is the Second Amendment. Nobody is taking guns away. Oh, well, we're not going to wait like you did, waiting for abortion to be taken away. We're taking it to the streets.
Yes.
So now you did it wrong by taking abortions away. You use the fact that the females are not coming out on the streets to shut somebody, yet you're going to do exactly this.
You know, Karina, the inherent danger in it is that there are people who take literally what Donald Trump is saying. And that's why when he puts those commercials out, or not commercials, what do you call those things, Calvin?
Social media posts?
No, well, on television where he's...
attack ads?
Yeah, attack ads. The attack ads that he has out there. And they're playing them over and over and over. And as you stated, Karina, there are people who are taking that in. Those men that you heard, multiply that. You know, so again, licensed gun owners responsible. But even the licensed gun owners, if somebody buys 1,000 rounds of ammunition, they should be questioned. What do you want with 1,000 rounds of ammunition? I mean, what can you say? Calvin, what can you say? You know, I'm asking you, you buy the weapon, you coming in, I want 1,000 rounds of ammunition. Shouldn't I ask you why?
I can't think of a scenario where you would need that much. If you're going to target shoot, I mean, even if you were there shooting all day practicing, that's still going to be a few hundred rounds at most. Yeah. And hunting, you're a really, really bad shot if you need that many bullets.
Well, I know guys who told me they've got 10,000 rounds of ammunition. What are you doing with 10,000 rounds of ammunition?
Well, unfortunately, I think they're probably stockpiling for some
right.
mysterious circumstance.
All right. I want to thank everybody. Thank you, Calvin. Thank everybody who made the show go. I want to always thank my good friend, Dr. Omar, the pharmacist, and more than anything else, you, the listening audience, who continue to listen. I'm so thankful and grateful about that. Be safe. Enjoy the weather. 80 degrees and sunny. No humidity. Up next, Jane Madnair and Greg Bach. Madnair on air. I'll be back in the 4 o'clock hour on the Dominic Sylvia show this afternoon. You've been tuned into the Earl Ingram Show. See you later.